Ladies and gentlemen, the Alabama Senate will now come to order. Our prayer today will be delivered by Pastor Andy Frazier from First Baptist Church in Jasper, Alabama. Pastor Frazier, the guest of Senator Reed, and also I want to say enjoyed hearing you at the prayer breakfast this morning.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be here today. Let's go to our Heavenly Father in prayer. Almighty God, Eternal Father, thank you for the privilege of coming to you in prayer today on behalf of this gathering and these elected officials, our government leaders, and those who serve our state. Father, you have blessed us beyond what we deserve, and we ask from your unmatched grace that you bless our time here today. We thank you for this great country and this wonderful state in which we're allowed to live and serve. You have assembled these specific representatives here today to fulfill a precise purpose in your sovereign eternal plan. Lord, we ask for your face to shine upon us and that you would be gracious to us. In response to your goodness to us, help us to be a blessing to those around us. We ask for your guidance and provision in this group of public leaders. We ask for your favor in their mission to do good to those in our state and beyond with the resources that you have graciously provided. Empower these people by your grace to lead today and every day. Give them your wisdom and help them to make decisions that help others and impact the future generations for your glory. Bless us here today. Bless all that takes place in this room. And we thank you for the wonderful things that will come about because of your glory and good. In the name of our matchless Savior and Lord Jesus, we pray. Amen.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Frazier. Today, the pledge will be led by Senate intern Ashton Smoot. Ashton is a student at Alabama State University.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ashton. Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman-Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Milson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Reed, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shillnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 31 senators present, which is a quorum. The Senate is ready to transact business, and Senator Wagner, just want to tell you, good morning and War Eagle.
Mr. President, move that we excuse absent senators.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. President, move that we dispense with the reading of the journal from the previous legislative day and that we adopt said journal.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, Senator Allen. It's my understanding that it's your birthday today. Is that correct? All right, happy birthday, Senator Allen.
Thank you so much. King Solomon said, time waits on no man. That includes each of you as well. So, God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Service our state, Senator Allen. All right, now move on to introduction of bills. Senator Jones.
Mr. President, make a motion we allow for the introduction of bills at any point throughout the day.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Now move on to, all right, next move on to messages. Before I do that, I want to recognize some special guests in the gallery. The guests of Senator Allen, Senator Reed, and Senator Singleton, the Tuscaloosa Chamber of Commerce. If y'all could please stand. Well, I don't think they're here. But anyway, all right, we'll try again later. Thanks, Senator Allen. All right.
Mr. President,
Senator Smithman.
at the proper time, can I be recognized for a moment of personal privilege? Whatever that moment is.
Yeah, let me get finished with this, and then we'll.
Yes,
All right, okay. All right, you're recognized. You know, point of personal privilege?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you. Members, today we're going to bring you our moment in Black history. So this is something that's going to be dear to you. It's going to be something that's, when you leave here and go to your office, you're going to have the connection right that moment as to what I'm going to share with you. It's called Our Story. 1186, real artesian water has been in the making since the beginning of time. We take pride in knowing that by offering some of the purest water in the world, that we are also able to give back to the community. The source of 1186 real Asian water comes from the small, densely populated town of Otagoville, located in central Alabama. Deep under many layers of rocks and earth lies an aqua that has been protected from the surface contaminants and pollutants, only to be reached by a well. 1186 means life, and like all things in life, nothing is perfect. It is imperfections that make life worthwhile. Our name is one of the examples of our imperfections, but we at 1186 Asian Water found the beauty in our mistakes. Our name comes for the chapters of the Bible and ends with a 6, being the creation of mankind. 1186 real Asian water stands as a reminder that your humilities are not the end, and with dedication and hard work, you can make something beautiful happen. Wherever the water flows, there will be life. This is the water that we are drinking, and they are a part of our moment of Black history. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Senator Smithman.
Mr. President, moment of personal privilege.
Okay, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, I appreciate you highlighting 1186 artesian water. It actually is in my district in Otagoville, and a little more interesting information about it is the aquifer that there's 2 aquifers, but the water comes from these aquifers, Gordo and Coker.
Okay.
Well, if you think about that, if you think north and west, there's some town, Gordo, Coker.
That's right.
That's where the rainwater falls.
Oh.
Goes underground, percolates into the ground, and then there's a confining layer of clay above and below, and this water comes down, and it takes, I'm told, roughly about 100 years to get from surface there to surface here.
Yeah.
And God has prepared a filter system for this water to go through, and it's sand. It's the same stuff we use to purify water in water treatment plants.
Okay.
So this water goes through that sand and comes out in Otagoville, Alabama, in Prattville, Alabama as well, which has been long known as the artesian city, fountain city of the world.
Okay.
So Marquise is a friend.
Okay.
And we have worked on this project together for, I guess, 4 or 5 years now. He's taken off. It's in, I think, 4 states now, 4 or 5 states.
Okay.
And one last thing, and I'll wrap this up. When we were testing this water, the guy came down from Birmingham to do the testing, and he was the owner of the testing company. His technician called in sick that day. And he comes down, and we're telling him how great this water is and this, that, and the other. And he's very dismissive. He hears this everywhere he goes, you know. So a couple days later, he calls us back, and he says, you know, it's a good thing that I tested that water myself and took the samples myself. And we're like, well, why is that? He said, because in my 40 years of testing water, I have never seen water as pure as this right here.
Yeah.
That if I had not taken the samples myself, I would have thought it was distilled water or something that somebody has done something to, and I would have gone and tested it myself. That's how pure this water is, and just comes right out of the ground. The well that is there in Otaugaville, 40 gallons a minute with no pump whatsoever. Just coming out of the ground. I'll show you a video here in a minute of it coming out of the ground. So appreciate you highlighting 1186 water and all that they're doing for Otaugaville and Autauga County.
Well, you're more than welcome, and I'll say this and be brief because I know we're trying to move on, is that, you know, I don't know, many of you all at the beginning of this year in your churches, you did the 21-day fast. Yeah, let's raise our hand if you did the 21-day fast. I did one, and mine, I don't mind sharing now, was that I was not going to drink anything but water. Nothing, coffee, nothing but water. And I'm going to tell you, I went to the store, and I bought me about 3 cases of this, you know, at the store at home, you know, and this water, like you say, is so wonderful that I just tell you that I hadn't tasted any other water as good as this water right here.
Yes, sir.
You know?
And I don't think you will.
Toast, and more, I'll toast them right here.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
President.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President.
I'd like to recognize some special guests in the gallery. The guest of Senator Jones, Auburn University students, Ethan Laney and Lily Midget. If you could please stand. Welcome to Alabama Senate. All right, back to House messages. Secretary, read the House message.
Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 14, appointing Jim Massey to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Response Trust Fund Advisory Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 15, appointing Charles Dean to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Response Trust Fund Advisory Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 16, appointing Dan Cooper to the Alabama Dry Cleaning Response Trust Fund Advisory Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. So now we're on to message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 17, appointing Jane Trotter Russell to the Alabama State Forestry Commission is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Jane Trotter Russell. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 18, appointing Carl Jamison to the Alabama State Port Authority Board of Directors is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Carl Jamison. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 19, appointing Zeke Smith to the Alabama State Port Authority Board of Directors as referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 20, appointing Gregory Turley to the Polygraph Examiners Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 21, appointing William Merritt to the Polygraph Examiners Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 22, appointing Jerome Grant to the Polygraph Examiners Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 23, appointing Joseph Ammons to the Alabama Department of Labor Board of Appeals is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 24, appointing Joe Doyle to the Alabama Department of Labor Board of Appeals is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 25, appointing Franzino Webster to the Alabama Department of Labor Board of Appeals is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 26, appointing John Knight to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 27, appointing Melissa Morizette to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 28, appointing Alan C. Spencer to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 29, appointing Martha Boyer to the State Course of Study Committee Social Studies is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 30, appointing Deetra Howie to the State Course of Study Committee Social Studies is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 31, appointing Retta McCannon to the State Course of Study Committee Social Studies is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 32, appointing Brianna Morton to the State Course of Study Committee Social Studies is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 33, appointing Barry Nolan to the State Course of Study Committee, Social Studies, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 34, appointing Adriana Peoples to the State Course of Study Committee, Social Studies, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 35, appointing Dorothy Walker to the State Course of Study Committee, Social Studies, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 36, appointing Lakeisha Cohill to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 37, appointing Michelle Hamp to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts. It's referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 38, appointing Kristen Law to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 39, appointing Dana Marie Limmer to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 40, appointing Karen Mockensturm to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 41, appointing Kevin King to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts, referred to the Committee on Confirmation. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 42, appointing Stefan Passmore to the State Course of Study Committee, Fine Arts, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 43, appointing Dawn Ellison Hopper to the State Course of Study Committee, Career and Technical Education, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 44, appointing Brady McLaughlin to the State Course of Study Committee, Career and Technical Education, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 45, appointing Mike Tu to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training and Hospitality and Tourism, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 46, appointing Ronald Simmons to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training and Hospitality and Tourism, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate Confirmation number 47, appointing Nanda Patel to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training and Hospitality and Tourism, is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the Governor, Senate confirmation number 48, appointing Emily Kelly to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training, and Hospitality and Tourism is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 49, appointing Donna Jones to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training, Hospitality and Tourism is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 50, appointing Keedy Lou Cannon to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training, and Hospitality and Tourism is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 51, appointing Donnie Jones to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training, and Hospitality and Tourism is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 52, appointing Harlan Fennell Benjamin to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training, and Hospitality and Tourism is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 53, appointing Mia Toole to the State Textbook Committee for Cosmetology, Education and Training, and Hospitality and Tourism is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 54, appointing O'Neal Catton to the Alabama Manufactured Housing Commission is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 55, appointing Gabrielle Simmons to the Alabama Board of Pardons and Paroles is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 56, appointing J. Patrick Tucker to the Alabama Environmental Management Commission is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 57, appointing Jay Jones to the Alabama Crime Victims Compensation Commission is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 58, appointing John Hornsby to the Alabama Trust Fund Board. It's referred to the Committee on Confirmations.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm about 3 or 4 more. Okay. We're getting there. Getting there.
Message from the governor, Senate confirmation number 59, appointing John Carroll to the Tuscaloosa Civil Service Board. Is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 60, appointing Scott Stadhagen to the University of West Alabama Board of Trustees is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 61, appointing Bobby Humphrey to the Alabama Surface Mining Commission is referred to the Committee on Confirmations. Message from the governor. Senate confirmation number 62, appointing Barbara Manuel to the Institute for the Deaf and Blind Board of Trustees is referred to the Committee on Confirmations.
All right, that concludes House messages. We don't have any committee reports. Any motions or resolutions? All right, any motions or resolutions? Senator Stewart,
Mr. President, may I be recognized?
you're recognized.
We have SJR 4. If that could be read at this time.
All right, Secretary, read SJR 4.
Yeah, move for recent. Okay. Mr. President. You did. Okay, you did.
Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, the gentleman from Dallas County has got some very important guests that are here that we're going to recognize. And so I know the process for us, ladies and gentlemen of the body, is that we're going to need to stand in recess at the call of the chair to allow these distinguished guests to come on the floor for a presentation. And then once this is concluded, then we'll be back in session. Isn't that correct, Mr. President?
That's correct. All right, so we have a motion to stand in recess, call the chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we stand in recess, call the chair.
Thank you, sir. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. This morning I rise to acknowledge a son of Selma, Alabama, and a remarkable Alabamian, Mr. Gunnar Henderson, who is the Major League Baseball Rookie of the Year. Let's give him a warm Alabama welcome. And he is here with his family, his parents, Mr. Allen, Mrs. Carrie Henderson. Did your fiance come with you today? Didn't make it today. Okay, you always have to recognize her as a newlywed. Take heed to that. And we have State Rep Prince Chestnut, who is also a fellow son of Selma. I want to give a few remarks about Mr. Henderson. He graduated from John Morgan Academy. He was born in 2001. Not sure where you all were in 2001, but I was 11. And he plays for Baltimore, and he's just a remarkable. If you can appreciate this, he's a graduate of Auburn University, War Eagle. And Senator Gavan, a fellow Dallas County native, went to school with some of his relatives, his uncle. Give him a shout out, Senator. And he used to work for his grand. So you're with family today. I just want to express my gratitude to you for being a great ambassador, an ambassador of Alabama values of faith, family, resilience, and dedication. And I just want to let you know, whenever you're home, give me a ring, and we'll go have some Laney's barbecue, okay? I know you can appreciate that. And I just wish you a great season. This is just the beginning of what is yet to come. Let's give him a round of applause. And I would like to present to you. And I want to present to you this resolution that's signed by the Secretary of the Senate, Mr. Pat Harris. Marshall, could you please read the resolution?
Senate Joint Resolution congratulating Gunnar Randall Henderson for winning the Silver Slugger Award and the 2023 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year Award. Whereas with great pride and special pleasure, highest commendations and congratulations are conveyed to Gunnar Randall Henderson, a native son of Alabama, on being awarded the Silver Slugger Award and unanimously winning the 2023 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year Award. Whereas Gunnar Henderson was born on June 29, 2001, in Montgomery, Alabama. He grew up in Selma and attended John T. Morgan Academy. In 2019, his senior year in high school, he was named the Alabama Sports Writer Association's Mr. Baseball and selected as the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Alabama. Furthermore, he was named to the Under Armour Perfect Game, Baseball America, USA Today, Collegiate Baseball, and Area Code High School All-American teams after batting .559 with 17 doubles, 9 triples, 11 home runs, 69 runs scored, and 75 RBIs while stealing 32 bases. And whereas the Baltimore Orioles selected Henderson in the second round of the 2019 Major League Baseball draft with the 42nd overall pick. And whereas Henderson was named the best overall athlete in the Orioles minor league system going into the 2021 season, where he played over 105 games between 3 teams, slashing .258, .350, .476 with 17 home runs, 74 RBIs, 28 doubles, and 16 stolen bases. For the 2022 season, Henderson was named Baseball America's Minor League Player of the Year. And whereas the Orioles promoted Gunnar Henderson to their Major League roster, and he made his debut on August 31st, 2022. Whereas Gunnar Henderson was named the #1 prospect in Major League Baseball going into the 2023 season by Baseball America and MLB Pipeline. And from there, he has won the following prestigious awards: the Sporting News 2023 American League Rookie of the Year, the MLB Pipeline's 2023 All-Rookie Team, Baseball Digest 2023 Rookie of the Year, and 2023 MLB Player Association's Outstanding Rookie of the Year. And whereas the Baltimore Orioles infielder received the Silver Slugger Award as the best hitting utility player in the American League for the 2023 Major League Baseball season. Voted on by Major League Baseball managers and coaches, the Silver Slugger Awards have been presented annually since 1980 to the top offensive player at each position in each league. And whereas his incredible 2023 season culminated in his unanimous win in one of the highest honors in Major League Baseball, the 2023 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year Award, which is voted on by the Baseball Writers Association of America. He is the 7th Oriole to win this prestigious award. And whereas other notable MLB accomplishments include, but are not limited to, hitting a 462-foot home run against the Kansas City Royals, which was the farthest ever hit onto Eutaw Street in the 31-year history of Camden Yards, setting the Orioles' record for extra base hits by a rookie at 66, and finishing the 2023 regular season with 28 home runs, 82 RBIs, an .814 OPS, and a .255 average. And whereas the occasion of Gunnar Henderson's designation as winner of both the Silver Slugger Award and the 2023 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year Award are accomplishments to be celebrated, his single-minded dedication, strong desire for success, constant training, and tireless and diligent efforts to achieve excellence serve as a valuable example to young athletes across the country and in his home state of Alabama. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of Alabama, both houses thereof concurring, that we highly commend and congratulate Gunnar Henderson for his outstanding 2023 Major League Baseball season and for being selected as the recipient of the Silver Slugger Award and the 2023 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year Award. And we hereby dedicate this resolution to him with utmost admiration, along with sincere best wishes for continued success.
And I would also like to add, in keeping with the theme of being unanimous, you being elected unanimously, all senators were co-sponsors of this resolution. So I want to thank you all, my colleagues, for making this possible. I would also like to recognize another family friend of yours, Mr. Tim Wood, who's on the Conservation Advisory Board. Let's please give him a round of applause. And thank you all for being here, and safe travels. Let's grab a picture.
Senator Stewart, good job. You can move right out here. We can get a couple of photographs. And Gunnar, if you're going to be available, I'm sure there are going to be some folks right out there. We got a great photograph spot. Several of these senators want their picture made with you. The only thing I wanted to ask you is we've got an event coming up on March the 20th.
Yes. Hey. Mr. Pro Tem, I was gonna ask the same thing. He needs to be an honorary member of the Senate. We want you on our team in the House for yes.
And Mr. President,
Senator Gudger brought this to my attention quickly, and so I wanted to go ahead and draft you for an opportunity to be a part of our softball team if you so desire. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you for being here today. Thank your family for being a part. Senator Stewart, great job. Thank you for being a great ambassador for the state of Alabama. Congratulations to you, sir.
Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Gunner, one thing I wanted to say just on behalf of the entire state of Alabama, man, and a huge baseball fan, entire state's proud of you. So let's give him one more round of applause. Congratulations.
Mr. President, I just want you to know that you all went along because Senator Jones and I, we already come up with that plan.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Hey, that's why we win.
You go right ahead.
All right. Thank you all again. I'm very humbled by this great honor today. Thank you so much for recognizing me with this resolution. I've traveled all over this great country, and I can honestly say that there's no place like Alabama. I'm so glad to call Alabama my home. It's an honor and privilege to represent the state at the Major League Baseball level. I appreciate all the support that I've received and will continue to work hard to be a good representative for our state. I'd like to say thank you to my family and friends who are here today for all their love and support. And I'd like to thank Senator Rob Stewart, former Representative Nupi Cosby, and all the other individuals who worked for this resolution. Again, thank you and God bless.
All right, Senator Allen.
Mr. President, I may be the only one in this chamber that have watched this young man play in high school. Watching my grandson play from Pike in Troy. So I can testify that this young man is it's a real deal. So, Connor, we're proud of you. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Senator Allen.
Mr. President, thank you for allowing us to recess here for a moment to honor this gentleman. And again, ladies and gentlemen of the body, if you'd like to have a photograph, we're going to press the award winner into service a little bit more for a few photos. So we'll do that right out there by the flags. So again, thank you all for coming. Good job, Senator Stewart.
Yes, we'll get off. I never heard the lie. Unbelievable.
The Senate is back in session. Secretary, call the first local bill.
On page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 28 by Senator Chastain, proposing a constitutional amendment relating to Houston County. BIR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BIR using the long roll.
All right. Senator
This is a
Singleton.
constitutional amendment?
Yes, sir.
For Houston County local bill?
Yes, sir.
All right. You good?
Good.
All right. Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss.
Aye.
Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Reed.
Hey, Gerald.
Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams.
(31 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 28, a proposed constitutional amendment relating to Houston County by Senator Chastain.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
Mr. President,
Senator Singleton.
I know where we're going. I just wanted some clarity on the healthcare authority, and I know it's later we're not talking about anything at the statewide healthcare authorities, just local healthcare authority in Houston County.
Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Chastain.
Senator Singleton, you're correct. This is a local issue. It has nothing to do with any other healthcare authority statewide. There was a call yesterday, I think, and it was made clear that all the other healthcare authorities would support this local issue.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator.
All right.
Move to final passage using previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
31 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. Senate Bill 28 by Senator Chastain passes. Thanks, Senator Chastain.
Mr. President, move for certification using previous roll.
All right. Any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
31 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. Certification resolutions adopted. All right, next, I'd like to recognize some special guests in the gallery. The Tuscaloosa Chamber of Commerce, if y'all could please stand. The guest of the Tuscaloosa delegation. Welcome to Alabama Senate. And my former colleague, Kyle South, up there, War Eagle. So, all right. Let's say Senator Wagner.
Mr. President, I have a report from the Committee on Rules.
All right, Secretary Reed received the report from the Committee on Rules.
From the Committee on Rules, Special Order Calendar, Senate Resolution Number 11. Be it resolved by the Senate of the Legislature of Alabama that immediately upon the adoption of this resolution, the following business in the order set forth below shall be the special and paramount order of business for the third legislative day, taking precedence over the regular order of business or any pending or unfinished business. On page 3, Senate Bill number 48 by Senator Reed and others relating to public K-12 education. On page 1, Senate Bill number 39 by Senator Chambliss relating to dam safety. On page 4, Senate Bill number 54 by Senator Orr relating to the State Textbook Review Committee.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that the Senate adopt the report from the Committee on Rules. Use the short
Yes.
roll.
Could I be recognized?
Senator Smithman, yes, you're recognized.
In terms of the bills, I had the fortunate to be on the Education Policy Committee, so I'm familiar with these bills. 3 of them are there that I'm familiar with, and surely we want safety on our dams. I'm standing simply because we're starting a new quadrennium, a new session. And as I look at this agenda does not have a bill on here from our caucus. And I think it's well established that a third of the agenda, at least a third, should come from the minority side. So I stand to, hey, let me get y'all's attention. Can I get y'all's attention back in, please? My good friends, can I get everybody's attention? Just a minute. I stand because I don't want us to start neglecting what our understanding and our presidents and our policies are regarding that particular situation and issue. I will say this. Is Senator Chastain? There he is right there. The reason I want everybody to listen, because the committee chairs, I'm talking to you all. I want you all, if you have not, I want you to follow the lead that Senator Weaver has established and Senator Chastain has established. And the reason I say that because that I've had the involvement with them myself. Whereas that when you have these bills in your committee, I would encourage you to reach out. And I know that they're supposed to come to you, but I still will encourage you to reach out to members. I know you do on your side, but as well on our side, so that they can do, if there's any adjustments or concerns about some issues, that they can be addressed right then. Because I tell you what he did for me. I'm coming down the hallway, and he said, come here, I need to talk to you. You don't know about something. I need you to explain something. And then from there, we'll begin to work on a process that at the next committee, hopefully it can be considered. So we don't, that's what I'm encouraging y'all, because the agenda, it should be a third. And the excuse that we don't have any bills and rules is not governed. Rules is going to put on whatever rules has, and rules going to get from whatever comes from you all on the committees. So I wanted to say that from the beginning. When I saw the special order, naturally, I said that I need to make everyone aware that it's more than just to get up here and complain and say that it's not there, but to suggest to you a process that will assist you in making sure that a third of the agenda is reflective of the minority side as well. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and for allowing me the opportunity. I know, we have some minutes, but recognizing it to be able to bring that issue before the body, and hopefully that when we move into our next agenda, that we at least have some representation on there in terms of bills that we have filed.
Senator Smithman, always glad to recognize you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank the body for listening. Thank you all.
All right, Senator Wagner.
Mr. President, renew my motion to adopt the committee report.
Would you like to use previous role?
Using previous role.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
32 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention. The special order calendar is adopted. Secretary, call the first bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 48 by Senator Reed relating to public K-12 education. BR pending.
Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, I'm excited about this legislation that is coming forward, and I have done some extensive work with the minority leader, who's given me a great point on my bill that needs to be a little bit of a modification, and I agree with him completely on the point that he brought to my attention. So we're working on an amendment, and so I would like to carry Senate Bill 48 over to the call of the chair, allow us to finalize the amendment, and then come back and finish that before we leave today.
All right. Any objection to carrying over Senate Bill 48 at the call of the chair?
No objection.
All right. Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr.
Senate
President.
Bill 48 is carried over, call of the chair. Secretary, call the next bill on the calendar. Are they here?
On page number 1 of the calendar, Senate Bill 39 by Senator Chambliss relating to dam safety. BR pending.
All right, before we get started on this, I want to recognize some special guests in the gallery. The guests are President Daniel Coleman and the Board of Trustees of Birmingham Southern College. If y'all could please stand. The guest of the Jefferson County Senate delegation. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. All right, Senator Chambliss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 39 is a bill that is in addition to what we passed last year dealing with dam safety. If any of you who know that Alabama has not had a safety program related to our dams. And as you also know, dams pose a threat to those who live downstream should they fail. So just like we do with our bridges, other infrastructure, we need to be inspecting those dams periodically to make sure that those who are downstream are protected. So last year we passed a process. Here's how you do it, here's what you do with it once you do those inspections. And the biggest part of that is that the engineer is engaged by the owner of the dam. And then once he does the inspection, then that inspection is coordinated with the local emergency management agency so that they can develop a plan in the case of a failure or imminent failure so that they can alert people that live downstream of the dam and make sure that lives are protected. So that was the premise of the bill last year. That bill applied, it's statewide, and it allows any owner of dam, whether it be municipalities, counties, private owners, utilities, a couple other, basically anybody that owns a dam, a private owner, can become part of this program. One of the reasons that you would want to be part of this program is that there are federal funds available for owners of dams. I believe it's a 75-25 situation, 25% match to 75% federal money. I know that there are areas of this state that there are public utilities that own these dams, and they impound water to supply drinking water to different municipalities, counties, that sort of thing. So this gives all of those owners a mechanism, a process. Here's what you do, here's how you do it. Once you do that, here's what you do with it. And then once you do that, you develop that emergency action plan with the local emergency official. So that was kind of the history of where we are. All other states already do this, so it's nothing new. And there's a lot of benefit to us in that all these other states have already gone through this. So we looked at them, we looked at what they did, and how they transitioned this program over time to become, what it is. And ours will do the same. This is kind of a step process. Last year, we excluded state-owned dams. And the reason that we did that, there was some language in the bill that was problematic if it applied to a state-owned dam. So in working primarily with the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, who owns 34 out of the 36 dams in the state, they asked if they could be excluded last year so that we could develop the language more specifically to the state between then and now. So that's what we've done, and then this bill it only applies to state-owned dams. It allows the state, primarily Department of Conservation, to go through the same process, to engage an engineer to do the inspections, to get their recommendations on what needs to happen, the maintenance, the improvements, and then file that report with local emergency management agency, and then develop a plan. Okay, we know a lot of times with dams, we know the surge is coming before it's there. So we have normally some time to prepare. So in that time, if we know we're going to have an overtopping of a dam or that kind of thing, the local emergency management agency will have, in cooperation with the owner and the engineer, develop this plan. Here's what we do. Here are the people, here are the businesses, here are the roads, the infrastructure, maybe even there's a water intake structure downstream. Well, all of those people need to be notified, okay, we've got this crest coming, this surge in dam in the river, or it could be a creek, but most likely a river. Any water, it doesn't matter what it is, but this is coming, and you need to take heed. It may affect you negatively, so it would give those people time to move out. And then if the dam fails, and there are dam failures, fortunately, we've not had significant ones in Alabama recently. However, we have had them. The dam that impounds Lake Jordan. I don't think it was the main dam. I think there's two dams there. I think it was the secondary dam, but it's an earthen dam. And that dam failed. It's been, I don't remember exactly when it was, but it's been 30, 40 years or so. So it does happen. Now, that does bring up, that is a dam that is regulated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. I believe FERC is what it's all called. So this bill does not apply to any dam that is already regulated. We don't need double regulation. So all of the dams on our major lakes, both on the river and, well, I guess they're all on rivers, but like Martin, Logan Martin, Smith, all across the state, those are already regulated. So this bill doesn't apply to those. These are primarily state-owned dams, like in state parks. Maybe there's actually a couple of universities that have dams, some public fishing lakes that are out there. So what this bill does is it allows for a process on what you do, how you do it, that kind of thing. So one of the main things, and this is very, very simple, if it's an earthen dam and trees grow or vegetation grows on the downhill side of that dam, if unchecked, those trees will grow and become so large that their roots make their way all the way through the dam. Then water can start seeping along those roots, especially if the tree dies. Say the tree has gotten older, it gets struck by lightning, whatever, and it dies, and then those root systems are decaying, then that water can make its way through there and eventually could blow out that entire dam just because the vegetation on the downhill side of the dam was not maintained. So it could be as simple as that. But then also, you also have concrete structures that could get undermined and that sort of thing. So anyway, Senator, I'll continue the explanation, but if you have a particular question or thought, then I would certainly engage that as well.
Mr. President,
Senator Singleton.
would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't have a particular question. I think you answered my question in your explanation, because I was about to ask in terms of those federally regulated dams, were there any way, the fact that Corps of Engineers usually, manages most of our dams on our locks, because Alabama has a lot of locks and dams on the Black Warrior, Alabama River. I know that we have at least one in my district now that has been damaged in Demopolis, that they are now, the Corps of Engineers is currently under construction right now today and trying to get that dam retrofitted so that we won't have that kind of catastrophe in downtown Demopolis.
Right. I read the story about that the other day.
And so your bill, the bill that we passed last year was basically dealing with private-owned dams.
Well, it could also have been county, municipal.
On private property mainly.
Kind of thing, yeah.
Okay, and so now the Department of Conservation wants to come in under this based on the process by which we have set up.
That's right.
So now maintaining those 36 or 38 dams that they now control.
That's right.
All right. And so to my understanding, what I hear from you is that the report will be filed with our local emergency management agency.
That's right.
In terms of, are there any kind of public notification of those filings that has to be taught to the public, or where the public has an opportunity to be able to see them?
So our time's out on the BR.
Okay.
All right, what was the motion?
The motion is for the BIR using the previous role.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
Okay. All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
(32 ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention). The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 1 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 39 by Senator Chambliss relating to dam safety. Committee amendment pending.
All right, Senator Chambliss.
So, Mr. President, let me explain, and we'll get back to the point you were making just a minute ago because it's important. The committee amendment, what we did in this bill is we allowed the state to have 5 years to do their inspections because they have 34 of them, I think was the number. So that's going to take time. That's going to take resources. So we gave them a good bit of time. What we did previously is we required any other owner to do theirs every 2 years, thinking that they have 1 dam, 2 dams, not a big deal. Obviously, I've been contacted. There are some of them that have multiple dams, and they're like, well, we would really, really jump in on all this, but the 2 years is tight. So we've worked with them and with DCNR to make everybody 4 years. And that's agreeable to all parties. It has to be inspected once every 4 years. So what we want to do is to table the committee amendment. And then I have a new amendment that does exactly what I said, is it makes the previous bill 4-year cycle, and it makes this bill a 4-year cycle. 4 instead of 2, 4 instead of 5, everybody's exactly 4. So that's what this amendment does, and if okay with you, I'll go ahead and table the committee and then get this one on, and then we can continue our conversation. So that's fine. Okay.
All right, got a motion to table?
Yes, sir.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the committee amendment's tabled.
Mr. President, I have an amendment.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 39 by Senator Chambliss. Replace line 183 on page 7 with the following: every 4 years by an engineer. The engineer shall certify to. Replace line 203 on page 8 with the following: this article shall be inspected a minimum of once every 4.
So, Mr. President, Minority Leader, this amendment does what I said. It puts everybody on the same playing field. We don't have to think about, well, this dam should be 2, this should be 4 or 5. So everybody's 4 years. So with that, we'll just pick back up where you were, the conversation that you're about to ask me a question.
Yes, sir. What I want to know is that once these, once the engineer has gone out and inspected, the inspections are done, the report is filed, what kind of public notice that this bill allows to happen for those landowners, at least the landowners around that dam, that there's a possibility of maybe some structural damage here? And what parameters are we putting in the bill to say that if they find such structural damage, that it must be fixed within a certain period of time to avoid any crests coming along?
Good questions. The first one, dealing with public notification. Originally, my original version of this bill last year that I filed required all of this to be public information, so everybody knew what was going on. And in my mind, that's what we need to do. However, as we were going through the process, several folks came to me, both from state government, city government, county government, some private owners, but primarily the larger dams, and asked us to consider to not make that report a public record because of the details that someone that may have a nefarious plan or want to do something dangerous to people, they would know what to do, how to do it, where to do it. It would give them a roadmap to do that. And I think similar with some of the federal, you can't just go in and know every detail about that dam, because if you mean to do people harm, we actually can arm you to do that. So what we went through is a process. Once that report is filed with the local emergency management agency, then they work with the owner and the engineer to develop this plan, this emergency action plan, and that plan is public, so that they know the details that are needed, but those that are not needed for just, for somebody living downstream might not need to know that this particular issue, or this is the way this is built, or this is the way that's built, because you're also telling everybody that. So right now, it doesn't require a public disclosure of those problems for that reason. Now, over time, this will be something that we will revisit. It's a brand-new program, and it might be that we have to tweak that a little bit. But right now, the emergency action plan, that's the public part of it. Does that answer your question?
Okay, I can see that because I understand threats to dams and people who may want to do something can utilize dams to be a part of terrorist threats and things of that. But the report, you're saying now that when that report is filed, is that then once we come up with a plan on how we will deal with it in case of a natural disaster, because we're getting a lot of rain, the crest may rise and break the dam. What's going to be the evacuation plan will come from this?
That's right.
The possibility of warnings may come from this, and that's what we will post to the public.
That's right. That's right. So
Okay.
it's about public safety. That's what it's about. Well, and one other point, the natural disaster, normally we have some lead time. Someone with a bad intent,
we don't.
It's instantaneous. And there's nothing we could do. So putting that information out there would put those people in peril if something like that happened.
But what kind of timing do we have that if now in the inspection, we find out that there's a crack in the levee that needs to be addressed right now?
Yeah.
Okay, the structural engineer sees that. Does this provide that we give those neighboring or the public that kind of warning? Because we never know when that is going to break either. They can only go in and try to start trying to get it fixed.
Oh.
And that may even happen before the report is completed.
Sure.
Because we may go in and discover, like you said, roots have grown up, and all of a sudden it's pushing through, and now we have a leak and we have damage.
Right, right.
Okay, and I guess the second part of my question was, at what point and how much time, once the engineers say that there is a problem, that private owner has to go on and get it, do they have to address it immediately, or do they can just sit there and let it linger and let the crest go on and break?
Yeah.
Because I think that's negligence at that point in time.
And that's kind of the way we looked at it. Honestly, maybe me being a little idealistic, to me, when somebody is faced with that type situation, I guess my idealistic, I didn't really think through that.
Okay.
So I'll just be straightforward with that. So we don't have a time on there. Maybe that's something we need to look at down the road. We don't even have any of these engineering reports on file at all, so we got time to do that. But one thing that is a little complicated by that is there's kind of a saying, a little joke in our industry. How do you keep concrete from cracking? Don't pour it. Don't pour it. Because essentially all concrete is going to crack. It's going to go through some heats and
earth shifts.
Earth shifts. So just because there's a crack that's evident does not necessarily mean that it's a problem. It is something that you want to watch every time you inspect it. How wide, how big, any vertical, horizontal displacement. That becomes very, very very problematic. Is there what we call efflorescence coming through when water is coming through and kind of starts making that white?
It's a real problem there.
You know that concrete is being eroded internally. So there's a lot of things, and that's why you have to be a qualified dam engineer to do these inspections. I'm not. I couldn't do it. I don't have that background. I do have some of the education, but I've never used that, so I don't have that experience, so I couldn't do it. And that's a good thing. So it's got to be qualified dam inspection engineers. But bringing up, and our pro tem, he's always Johnny on the spot on this particular thing. When we have these discussions and we're back and forth, it's inevitable that you're going to think of something that I didn't think of. And over time, that's what makes everything better. So that's something that I will go back to the folks that do this for a living, the dam engineers, safety engineers, and okay, and we'll look at other states. What do other states do? Because you're right, you know, if there are remedies in a court of law, but our whole point is not to get to that.
Exactly.
We want to prevent all that.
That's what we want to.
And not have major catastrophes, not have loss of life, all that kind of thing. So that is something that I'll take back to our folks and we'll vet that out and see what other states. I'm sure other states have already done something just like that. So we can talk about that for sure.
Okay, because I just, you know, don't want people to just neglect it and say, oh, you know, we'll get it fixed next year.
Right.
And if the report says that this is something need to be taken immediate action, you know, because we are not giving the EMA directors or anybody else any power to say, you must go take care of it within this time and manner. It's just a report.
Right.
And if the engineering report say it's something that need to be taken care of immediately, nobody's there to say, you go do it, and we don't know whether the landowner will go do it or not, or the city or the county will go on and do it or not.
That's right. And you know, part of why I didn't think about it is because I am a certified bridge inspector. Been inspecting bridges most of my career. Just do a couple is all I do now. But there's a federal program that there was a bridge that collapsed. I believe it was in St. Louis, Missouri, 50s or 60s, a long time ago, and it collapsed. And part of that failure was because it wasn't being inspected routinely. So that particular disaster where there was loss of life is why we have our bridge inspection program today. There are particular things, now that you mention it, in that program. If I, as an inspector, rate that I see a crack, and let's say it's got efflorescence, it's separating, it's getting bigger, longer, it's in a critical place, because you can have that same crack over in another place and it's no big deal. It depends on where the stresses and strains are in that particular element. But if that's the case, then I have to rate that particular bridge or that element of that bridge a certain number. And if I get below a certain number, there are things, okay, this has to be done, this person has to be notified, this one. Yeah, so you're on point. It's already being done in other programs. So I don't have any hesitation that we need to do it in this program. But because I hadn't thought about it, we need to go back and really study what other people do, how they do it, and use the best of what's already out there. Because, as I mentioned, 49 other states already have this.
Okay. Thank you for your information on this bill, Senator. I just wanted to know the intent of the bill, because I know you're an engineer by trade, and what remedies you think would occur because of this legislation.
Sure. I am an engineer by trade, a civil engineer. Civil engineering is very, very broad. We also have a saying in our profession, we deal with loads, roads, and commodes. so it's very broad. Dams would really fall into the loads category, because when you have a huge impoundment of water next to that dam, it exerts tremendous pressure and force. The further you go down, the higher that force is. So the loads have to be figured in and make sure that there's an equal and opposite force to hold that in place. So although I have some education regarding dams and loads and concrete and steel, that kind of thing, I don't have the real world experience for that, for me to be, to do this type work. So what we have to do as a profession is when we get out of college, we have to take an all-day test. It's called the Fundamentals of Engineering, and we have to pass that test and have 4 years of experience before we can take the professional engineer's test. So that test is still fairly broad, it covers areas that I may or may not practice in over my career. So our profession goes beyond that and requires us or limits us from practicing outside our area of expertise. Other professions would have something similar. So me, in my career, I've done more development work, water work for small water systems, roads, subdivisions, site plans, that kind of thing. So I would not be qualified to do that type of work. And I see it probably answered his question. So
Yes, I have one more question I want to ask you about that. In your bridge instructions, you was talking about the process that you go through. In that bridge inspections, you all rate a bridge, right?
That's right.
And in that rating, then you do a recommendation? Do you do a recommendation?
If there are deficiencies.
If there are deficiencies.
Yes, sir.
So so you do have a process, like you were just saying about which could be followed in this dam piece, because just like you do that, they can do it, rate it, and then if there are recommendations, then you can do recommendations, then we can look at about getting it fixed in, okay? But thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
We can go on and move this bill, adopt your amendment, and we can move on. I'm fine.
Okay, the amendment's before us, so I move final pass or passage of the amendment using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
$35 ayes, no nays. The Senator Chambliss amendment's adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move final passage using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
$35 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 39 passes as amended. Thanks, Senator Chambliss.
Mr. President, I have thoroughly enjoyed this discussion. I see that most of my colleagues are bored to tears and asleep, but I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my profession. Thank you, Mr. Leader.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Chambliss. All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 54 by Senator Orr relating to the State Textbook Review Committee. BR pending.
All right. Senator Orr, when you're ready.
Ready, Freddie. Mr. President, I move adoption of the BR using the previous roll.
Okay, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 54 by Senator Orr relating to the State Textbook Committee.
All right, Senator Orr.
Mr. President, I have a amendment to offer.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment, please.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 54 by Senator Orr. Replace line 32 on page 2 with the following: used at least once a month during the academic school year.
Mr. President. Members, this is a bill just to put periodicals that are used regularly, frequently in the classroom with the state textbook committees and just get them reviewed if they're used. The bill had weekly. This amendment says at least monthly. So if it's a one-off here or there, it wouldn't apply. But if it's used regularly and on a regular basis, a periodical, a magazine or this or that in the instruction in the K-12 school world, it would need to be approved. That not each periodical, but let's just say National Geographic. National Geographic would have to be approved by the state textbook committee if it's going to be used regularly in the classroom situation. So I'd move adoption of the amendment, and if there's no objection, using the previous rule.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Orr amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move third reading using the previous rule.
All right, any objection?
Just one question. This sounds real innocent. I just don't want this to lead to some form of censure. When you start looking at periodicals and people starting to say what can and cannot be in these schools when it comes, I just don't want this to lead to censure.
That's the reason I left it with the textbook committee, an already known entity. They're used to seeing all the textbooks and stuff, and it was just pointed out to them, we got a lot of regularly used periodicals. Okay, we'll have the textbook people look at that as well and do whatever they do.
All right, thank you.
Renew my motion.
Okay, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 54 passes amended. Thanks, Senator Orr. Secretary, all right. Senator Reed.
Mr. President, congratulations to my colleagues that are already passing legislation in the Alabama Senate. I had Senate Bill 48 carried over to the call of the chair, been working with the minority leader, so I'd like to bring that bill back if we can and talk about
Secretary, call Senate Bill 48, please.
On page 1 of the calendar, or on page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 48 by Senator Reed relating to public K-12 education, BIR pending.
All right, Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 48, I'm going to try to give a good description here, and then I've got some dialogue with my colleague, which has helped me now with this legislation on some things that I think are going to be better after he offers an amendment. But the goal of this legislation is basically to allow for school systems to take the criteria and curriculum that they're going to have for each grade, pre-K through 12, and be able to put that on a website so it's available to parents and guardians to be able to understand what's going on at the school. Many schools already do this across the state, and the goal is that there would be transparency in the curriculum that's being offered in schools across our state. I've heard from several school superintendents and other educators that are also appreciative of this legislation from the standpoint of the more information we provide to parents, the more details that we give to parents, then the more engaged parents can be in their children's education. So I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from this. The idea in the legislation says put the information on a website. Once you've got the information on a website, if there is a question or a complaint from a parent related to something on the website, then that parent, guardian can communicate directly with the teacher. The teacher will have the opportunity under what we're going to have with this added amendment to be able to respond via email or with other information about whatever the question is and the criteria of what's going on with the question that they have. And then if there is a need for them to have an in-person meeting with a group of parents, then they can do that at a work session, at a school board meeting, and I think that is a great idea. That's going to be protective of teachers, making sure that if they're going to have interaction interactions like they do with teacher-parent conferences, that they're doing that in a setting that everybody's comfortable with. Also, with this, if there are complaints filed, those complaints will be going to the superintendent of education. They'll compile a list, give that to the state superintendent of education, which will compile a list, and then that will go back to the education policy chairs in both the House and the Senate. And as a result of that, if there's some glaring issue that comes up as a result of this transparency, then we're going to be in a position to where everybody will be able to know about it. Now, my legislation does not call for any remedy. It just says, let's be transparent about the details.
Mr. President, could you gavel? I can't hear the gentleman.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. So that's basically an explanation of the legislation. Mr. President, I've gotten, again, very positive feedback, and I want you to be able to recognize my colleague for him to talk about the legislation and some very good ideas that he brought to me related to making the bill better.
Well, if we can go and adopt the BIR, I'll offer the amendment, and then we can have that conversation.
Sounds good. With that, Mr. President, I'd make a motion that we adopt the BIR using the previous row without objection.
All right, any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 48 by Senator Reed relating to education.
Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Again, I've given an explanation of the bill during the BIR format, and I know my colleague has an amendment that is a friendly amendment that I'm appreciative of, so I'm going to allow you to recognize him, sir.
All right, Senator Singleton.
Mr. President, I'd like to offer an amendment, please.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 48 by Senator Singleton. Replace line 8 on page 1 with the following: guardians of enrolled students to request information on instructional. Replace line 22 on page 1 with the following: request to request information on instructional and supplemental materials. Replace lines 39 through 40 on page 2 with the following: request of any parent, custodian, or guardian providing by detailed summary by email, telephone, or other electronic means of instructional materials adopted by the local board. Replace lines 47 through 58 on page 2 with the following:
All right, Senator Singleton.
Mr. President, yes, thank you, Senator Reed, for sitting down with me, and as we thought about this bill, the intent here, ladies and gentlemen, is not to take instructional time from teachers in the classroom. The way the original bill was made up, that instructional teacher would have to give a detail after a complaint was filed, and within 10 days, they would have to have a meeting. Say, for instance, well, then there may be 10 parents who may say they have a problem with it, so that teacher would then have to give 10 parents a meeting within that 10 days, and it could take away a whole day of their instructional time trying to explain to those parents what's going on. So this amendment will allow that teacher to give by electronic filing, by email, a detailed summary of those of whatever question they may ask at that time, or a phone call, or by any other electronic means based on that electronic instructional materials. Then if that parent is not satisfied, then that parent can go to that local school board, get an appointment, come and be recognized at a work session of the school board. Then that teacher will come to the school board and explain to that teacher, to that parent, or however many parents that are there that day, based on that particular issue, about that particular material in or curriculum that the parents are questioning. What this does is allow us not to have teachers using up instructional time. We talk about safety of teachers. Sometimes parents can come get a little irate at school. If a teacher gonna meet with them late in the afternoon, that could be a safety issue. So now it's all done in a public forum, and everybody can get what we want. The transparency is there. The issue will be addressed within a structural a setting, which is the state, which is the local school board, and I think everybody could be satisfied with this.
Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Mr. President, I again want to thank my colleague for catching this within my legislation. I appreciate his overview. I think that what he brings is important, and it's exactly what we need. We need teachers to be maximizing their time in the classroom. I completely agree. The goal of this legislation is transparency, of which the feedback I've gotten from boards and teachers and superintendents is we're all about transparency. We want parents, the more informed parents are about what's going on in the schools, then the more engaged parents are with their children's education. So I would yield back to my colleague and think that he may want to make a motion. I'm certainly supportive of his amendment.
All right.
Mr. President, I would like to adopt the amendment, use of previous role without objection.
All right, any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
35 ayes, 0 nays. The Senator Singleton amendment's adopted.
Mr. President,
Senator Figures.
I have a question for the sponsor.
All right, you're recognized.
Thank you. Senator Reed, I'm just concerned about yet one more thing being put on the backs of our teachers without extra pay or compensation. And we're really getting into so much micromanagement within our school system, the legislature is, and were the teachers involved in this piece of legislation at all?
Yes, ma'am. I can tell you I had conversations with teachers, with groups that represent teachers, with superintendent groups, school board groups that I've discussed this legislation. They gave me feedback about it. I've had more conversation with them on some of the ideas that we've had in the amendment, of which I agree I like better, and they do too. So the goal is to not add something more to a teacher other than the things that they're already working on, which, you know, great teachers are willing to have parent-teacher conferences anytime and all the time to try and help students and help parents understand what's going on at the school. The real goal of this is to be able to say, where's the starting point for parents to be able to get information about what's being taught to their 6th grader or 11th grader or kindergartner, and having that information available on a website. The feedback I've gotten from school superintendents is we think this is a good idea because it allows there to be an easy access of this kind of data for parents that are in our
I agree
school
with
system.
that. I agree with that. But I'm just interested in how much time it takes away from the teacher, actually.
Well, I think the amendment is very much
It's
addressing
satisfied
that.
that. Yeah, I really agree with the amendment that Senator Singleton brought, and I thank him for that. As I said, I just wanted to make sure that we're not putting something else extra on our teachers, because God knows they have too much on them now.
Senator, I appreciate your comments, and we're in lockstep on those themes, and I appreciate your feedback and help to me.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Mr. President.
All right, thanks, Senator Figures. Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not seeing any other questions. I appreciate the feedback that I've been given on this legislation. Parents' right to know. And so with that, I'll ask that, or make a motion that we adopt Senate Bill 48 using the previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Williams.
35 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 48 passes amended. Thank you, Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President.
Senator Reed.
Let me thank the members of the body for, again, hard work on week number 1. So I had someone say to me yesterday, Senator, 2 days down, 28 to go. I said, well, that's correct, but not encouraging. But you all are doing a great job working for the people of the state of Alabama, and I am appreciative, and they are. And we'll be back here on Tuesday. So unless there's not another word, Mr. Leader, then I'm going to make a motion that we stand adjourned until 2 p.m. on Tuesday, February 13.
All right, heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem.